After a few days of warnings, federal felonies, scam calls, overpayment letters, I wanted to bring you something different today. Genuinely good news, fully verified, straight from Social Security's own numbers. I'm Dr. James, and this is your daily update. Here's what we're covering. First, the agency's record-breaking service improvements this year. Second, a new automated system that's already speeding up how fast your claim gets processed. Third, real drug price cuts that are now locked in for next year. And fourth, why next year's Medicare premium increase might be smaller than anyone expected. Let's get into it. On June 29, 2026, the Social Security Administration released a report on its own performance, and Commissioner Frank Bisignano presented these numbers directly to Congress. Let's go through them one at a time because each one translates into something real for you. First, online service. The agency completed 385 million online transactions so far this fiscal year, a 37% increase compared to 2024. That means millions more people are getting things done through their My Social Security account instead of waiting on hold or driving to a field office. Second, field office wait times. If you've had to visit a local office in the past couple of years, you know the wait could be brutal.
This year, average wait times at field offices dropped by 30%. That's a meaningful, measurable difference if you've got a hearing issue standing in line, or you simply can't afford to spend half a day waiting for a 10-minute appointment. Third, and this is the one I think matters most, the disability claims backlog. At its worst in 2024, nearly 1.3 million people were stuck waiting for an initial disability decision. That number has now dropped by more than 30%, down to 853,000. And for people waiting more than 90 days for a disability hearing, wait times have dropped to 266 days, the lowest on record. If you or someone in your family has been stuck in that disability pipeline, this is the first real sign in years that the system is actually catching up. Fourth, the agency reports it saved $16 billion this year through better financial controls, catching errors and improper payments before they go out, rather than trying to claw them back later, which connects directly to what we talked about with overpayment letters. Fewer improper payments on the front end means fewer painful withholding letters landing in your mailbox later. Altogether, the agency says these improvements saved the public nearly 40 million hours that would otherwise have been spent waiting for service. That's not a marketing number. That's SSA's own internal accounting of time given back to people like you. Now let's talk about how they're actually doing this, because the mechanism matters. The centerpiece is something called straight-through processing. In simple terms, it's an automated system that takes a claim from the moment you apply all the way through to a decision without it needing to sit in a queue waiting for a person to manually push it forward at every step. It launched first for Medicare claims, and it's already processed more than 340,000 of them. Based on that success, the SSA has now started expanding straight-through processing to select retirement claims as well. If you're getting close to filing for retirement benefits, this means there's a real chance your claim moves through the system faster than it would have even a year or two ago. On the phone side, nearly 40% of incoming calls to the SSA are now being handled through an automated interactive voice response system, meaning a real chunk of routine requests, think replacing a benefit verification letter or checking a payment date, can now be resolved without waiting on hold for a live representative at all. If your specific issue is more complex, you'll still get routed to a person, but for the simple stuff, this alone is cutting down the wait considerably.
I want to be balanced here because I always try to be with you. Automation isn't perfect, and there will always be situations that genuinely need a human being on the phone or in an office. But the direction of these numbers, shorter waits, smaller backlogs, faster claims, is the first sustained improvement we've been able to report to you in a while, and it's worth acknowledging when the system actually gets better instead of worse. Let me make this concrete with a realistic comparison. In 2024, if you filed an initial disability claim, you could reasonably expect to be one of nearly 1.3 million people sitting in that backlog, with no clear sense of when a decision would arrive. If you're filing that same claim today, the backlog you'd be entering is 853,000, smaller by more than 400,000 cases in roughly 2 years. And if your case needed to go all the way to a hearing after a 90-day wait, that hearing wait time has dropped to 266 days, the shortest it's been on record. None of that erases how difficult it still is to be waiting on a disability decision, but it's a meaningfully different experience than it was even recently, and it's worth knowing that going in if you or someone you know is about to start that process. Now, moving to something concrete for your wallet. Medicare's drug price negotiation program has completed its second round of negotiations, and one result stands out clearly. Starting January 1st, 2027, Medicare beneficiaries taking Ozempic or Wegovy will pay no more than $274 for a 30-day supply. For context, these medications have carried list prices well over $1,000 a month for years. 15 other high-cost drugs, covering conditions like certain cancers and diabetes, went through the same negotiation process, and beneficiaries taking those medications should also see meaningfully lower out-of-pocket costs starting the same date. If you're currently paying out-of-pocket for a GLP-1 medication, a cancer treatment, or a diabetes treatment, it's worth checking whether your specific prescription is on that negotiated list, because these prices are already finalized, not a projection, not a maybe. And one more piece of encouraging news that builds on something we discussed a couple of days ago. The newest Medicare Trustees projection for the 2027 Part B premium came in at $209.50 a month, down from the earlier estimate of $218.60, and representing the smallest premium increase since 2023. It's still a projection, not a locked number, and the official figure won't be announced until November. But directionally, that's two pieces of Medicare news in the same month, both pointing in a more favorable direction than usual, which is genuinely rare. It's worth remembering why this particular piece of good news matters so much for retirees specifically, because most Part B premiums are deducted automatically from your Social Security check before you ever see the deposit. A smaller premium increase doesn't just save you money on paper, it directly means a larger share of your actual cost of living raise survives all the way into your bank account next year, instead of quietly disappearing the way we discussed happened with this year's increase.
2. A shrinking stopwatch. 3. A pill bottle with a downward arrow. 4. A Medicare card with a smaller minus sign next to it. The smiling sun icon from the beginning reappears. Here's how I'd put all of this together for you. None of this means your day-to-day costs are suddenly going to feel dramatically different overnight, and I'm not going to pretend retirement got easy. But if you've dealt with a slow claim, a long hold time, a frustrating field office visit, or sticker shock at the pharmacy counter over the last couple of years, the actual data says the system is moving in your direction right now, on all 4 of those fronts at once. That's worth knowing, and it's worth a little bit of hope heading into the second half of the year. The 4 summary icons from the previous scene are shown again, and each one gets a quick check mark as it's mentioned. Let's recap. Social Security had its best operational year on record by its own measurements: shorter waits, a shrinking disability backlog, and $16 billion in savings from catching errors early. Straight-through processing is now speeding up retirement claims, not just Medicare ones. Ozempic, Wegovy, and 15 other negotiated drugs get real, locked-in price cuts starting January 2027, and the newest Part B premium projection for 2027 is lower than what was expected just months ago. Tomorrow, we're finally getting to something I've been promising you for a few days now. The one free bank form that decides whether your family can access your money within days after you're gone, or whether it gets frozen in probate court for over a year, even if you have a will. It's one of the most overlooked forms in personal finance, and I'll walk you through exactly how to fill it out correctly. If today's video gave you a little bit of good news for once, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. I bring you the full picture here, the good and the difficult, every single day. Drop a comment if you've personally noticed shorter wait times or a faster claim this year. I'd like to hear whether this matches what you're actually experiencing. See you tomorrow.